welcome to the For Fun of Knit podcast. My name is Linda. I am known as Nena Knits on Instagram and Ravelry. This is my little corner of YouTube and my channel all about all the frivolity, the fun, the adventures and misadventures of knitting. Hoping you get a kick out of each episode. Maybe you can learn a little bit, maybe you can share a little bit so the rest of us learn, but certainly focused on knitting, very little social or political commentary, although I do chit chat, just saying. So for those of you who this is your first time, thank you for giving my podcast a shot. I appreciate it. I really, really do. There's lots of options out there, so hopefully you find this interesting and entertaining enough to stick around. For those of you that are returning, wonderful. Thank you so much. I love all your comments. I learn so much. I get such a kick out of it. And I think I'm having a new sort of motive around all the comments. You're sharing so much great information that I want to then publish some of that. And today's or last episode is a perfect example of that. But I first want to thank all of you who commented on the podcast, because comments are so welcome. Absolutely welcome. And the fact that you loved my turtle dove kind of surprised me, honestly, because it was just a hot mess by the end of it. The sweater itself looks gorgeous, absolutely. Will I be able to wear it? I don't even think I'm going to be able to wear it, people. Seriously, that's how, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the electric one, and maybe I'm causing all the static cling. But needless to say, I'm going to knit that sweater again, and that will be a future project. But thank you for all those comments. And I also want to thank two folks who actually signed up for the knit along on the turtle dove on my Ravelry page. Excuse me. Denise from Chicago, known as Danil. Thank you. Even though you didn't get very far, kudos to you. Thank you for giving it a go. And Elisa Stella Cometa from Milano, Italy. Thank you so much. You actually finished it and yours looks gorgeous. I hope you get lots of wear out of your love, your turtle dove, pardon me. Anyway, but thank you. And Elisa, because you actually finished your turtle dove, I'm going to be sending you something a little bit in the mail. So thank you for sending me your address. The rest of you, fun. Oh my goodness. So if you haven't knit the love note before, I highly, highly recommend it. It is a great sweater pattern with the modifications that I talked about in my last episode. I can't wait to knit again. I already have the yarn chosen. You can't see it, but it isn't dove gray. It's more like hot pink. Yes. So, jewel tones. Remember? Jewel tones. So, that's it. Today we are going to go over a finished object. Maybe a finished object. And then we are going to talk about the winners. So this is going to be a little bit shorter of an episode, but I did say I wanted to get back to you for St. Paddy's Day, which is a kind of a big day for my hubby Patrick, who is an Irish citizen. His genealogy comes from Ireland. His dad was Irish, and he is an Irish citizen. So we honor St. Patrick's Day in two ways. One, we celebrate, and two, we remember his family, because my husband is the only survivor of his immediate family. So we do a lot of reminiscing on St. Paddy's Day. It's an important day for us. On that note, let's talk about what I'm wearing. Yes, look at what I'm wearing. I am wearing my my love note by Tincan Knits. Another super great pattern. This one, well, you know how fast I knit this, because it wasn't even 2 weeks ago that I podcast. I don't think it was 2 weeks. Maybe it was 2 weeks, but maybe not. Maybe it was 10 days ago when I podcast last, and ta-da, it is finished in its entirety. Wonderful pattern. Let me stand up, because it's kind of, so sorry, my camera is on an angle, so this might not look totally correct. I will not be wearing this sweater with this t-shirt and leggings. No, this is going to go over a sundress of some type. It is, look at how drapey this is. It is a beautiful weight sweater. It's got bracelet length sleeves. I just made them that length. You can customize this again to whatever you prefer. And I did a bit of a blousier sleeve with a cuff that comes in a little bit. And I also chose the high-low hem option. Excuse the gut there, but the high-low option. And what I really liked about this pattern, several things. A very clearly written pattern. Very easy lace work to follow and memorize. And it's also very customizable. So the neck is customizable, and I'll talk about that in a second. The sleeve length, obviously, and width is customizable, as in most sweaters. But this also gives you the option for doing it a cropped version. Cropped, so cropped straight hem, cropped high-low hem, a long version with a straight hem, or a long version with a high-low hem. And I kind of went in between the two. Didn't do the cropped and I didn't do the long. I just kind of went in between, but then I did the high-low hem. The thing that I did customize, two things. I left more stitches on the sleeves because I just wanted a blousier sleeve. But really the neckline is where I made a little bit of a change, and it was very simple. Without giving anything away, I only did half the decreases. And the reason being is you start with a provisional cast on, which is fun. It's only the second time I've ever done that. I did it for the Everyday Slouchy Beanie by Dragon Horde Yarns. I did it then, and then I did it on this one. You start the neck with a crochet chain, and then you pick up stitches around, and then you knit. It's just knit, no short rows here. You just knit, do the lace pattern, split for the sleeves, do the body. If you're doing the high-low hem, you do some short rows, and then you finish off the sleeves. Me, I did the sleeves first once I split, because I did maybe 2 inches of the body, and then I went to the sleeves because I wasn't sure how much yarn I was going to have, and I wanted to make sure I had enough. And I don't know why I thought I was going to run out of yarn. I don't know why, because I had a ton of it. Needless to say, did not run out of yarn. Shock! Guess in the last 2 times I have, haven't I? But the neck, I only did half the decreases. Sorry, I don't want the t-shirt showing. It doesn't show off. I'm just going to reach under there, go like that, little adjustments here and there. I didn't want a crew neck. And where the provisional cast on the chain was coming was beautiful. It was probably about here. And so I wanted to keep it open. And so I only did half of the decreases that were called for. And that worked out perfectly. It sits perfectly. It's super comfortable. I can totally understand how this would be very nice in the spring over a dress, or even in the summer in the evenings, or on a cool day in the summer, because it's so light. I love my love note. Love it. Highly recommend this pattern. As for the yarn, I was using my La Bien-Aimée. Yes, my La Bien-Aimée. Their single ply merino in fingering in the Shire. How appropriate for St. Patty's Day, the Shire. And yes, I love all things Lord of the Rings. What can I tell you? Cold coffee, because this is take 6. You wouldn't have known that unless I told you, but it's take 6. Anyway, so I had several skeins of this, and also their La Bien-Aimée silk mohair. Now, what's interesting is green is not my favorite color. Oh, fluff. Although I don't mind green, I don't dislike this. This is quite Julie tones. This has actually got, oh, let me add some light to the, of course I forgot to turn on my light. Is that better? Maybe that's better. I'm not sure if that's better. Well, maybe you guys can tell me if that's better or not. But what I do want to, it's probably better when I'm showing off the yarn as quite a bright light. But there you go. You can see the different hues, and it's even got like apple green in there. It's lovely. So while green is not my favorite color necessarily, I knit the Sunday cardigan in green, which you will have seen. Excuse me, a little bit of a dry throat. And then I knit this, obviously, for St. Patty's Day. And I thought, Linda, you're knitting in the same color. Well, they're not exactly the same color. So that shows it really well. This is a much flatter, mossy green, and this is a very vibrant, it's got much more going on. This is a Madeline Tosh single ply worsted in the Joshua Tree colorway. That's what I did my Sunday cardigan. And this is La Bien-Aimée Merino Singles in the Shire. And it's just got so much going on. I loved it. Loved knitting with it. It was easy. You get to see all the different colors. Yes, that's actually showing up on my camera quite well. But interestingly enough, when I knit my sweaters, I like to, where possible, alternate skeins. So I do the helical knitting. And if you're not familiar with helical knitting, let me back up a bit. Keep in mind, I am knitting, the pattern calls for a strand of fingering with a strand of mohair held together. Now, if you're going to alternate skeins, you're going to need 2. So you've got 4 strands of yarn going on. Not impossible. I just have one set on each side of me, and I manage it that way so I don't get all tangled up. And what you do basically is when you're knitting in the round, which this sweater is knit in the round, top down, knit in the round, very easy. You basically start with 1 yarn. I did 1 yarn for this neck piece when I started, and then all the lace work, because I really didn't think, one, I don't know how to do helical knitting in lace, and I don't even know if you can, but I didn't think the color variation was going to be noticeable. There was no reason to alternate. But once I finished the lace work and got onto the body and the sleeves, or the body anyway, I wanted to do helical knitting. Let me try and explain helical knitting. Take 3 on this piece. Wow, you don't think things are hard to explain until you try to explain them without actually showing you. Helical knitting is whenever you want to alternate skeins seamlessly without getting that ridge down one side. If you're just alternating in, every round at the same spot, you want to stagger that spot. So you're knitting with 1 yarn in the round, and then at some point you are going to just drop that yarn. Do not cut it, just drop it, slip 3 stitches, and then start knitting with your second skein of yarn. Knit all the way around until you get to 3 stitches before that first yarn you dropped. Then you drop your second skein yarn and you slip 3 stitches and then start knitting, pick up the first skein yarn and start knitting in the round. Knit with that one all the way around until you get to 3 stitches before your second skeined yarn drop. Drop your first skein yarn, slip 3 stitches, and pick up your second skein yarn and knit all the way around. Stop 3 stitches before your first skein yarn, and you keep doing that. You keep going around, you keep switching, but you always slip the first 3 stitches, the 3 stitches before your yarn drop, and then just pick up the other yarn and start knitting. Believe it or not, it works tremendously well. You prevent pooling. If you've got, certainly hand-dyed yarn can vary quite a lot from skein to skein. Well, you can minimize any of those differences in your yarn. This particular yarn does a lot of different things in it. So I've got pooling spaces, I got bright green spaces, I've got dark cloudy spaces. Like you can see, even with doing that, it gets a little, it's still got lots of variation in the yarn. So I did do helical knitting. The one drawback to helical knitting is this, that the way I do it, what I could have done is taken, and what I should have done, now that I think about it, next time when I'm not sure of how much yarn I'm going to use, which I never am, I'm going to take the time to half the 2 skeins and create 2 sets out of 1 skein of the 1 yarn and 1 skein of the second yarn. What I did is took 2 skeins of the merino and 2 skeins of the mohair and just started knitting. Wound them up and started knitting. And this is what I end up with. These are leftovers, and this is more than, okay, this is, what is, the mohair is a 25-gram skein. It's a 25-gram skein. I'm left with 18 grams. So I didn't even use, did I use 1 full skein? I have to think about that. Did I even use? I did. This was my second, so I already used one, and I was on my, so I used one and a bit. Of the merino, I used about 450 yards of the merino, or of the, pardon me, the mohair. Of the merino, I used one whole skein, so I was alternating, so I was using one skein for all of this, then I started alternating, and when the first one ran out, which it did, I picked up a third skein. So I was working in the sweater with 3 skeins. Well, I have over a skein left. I have 120 grams left of this yarn. Not all in one skein, unfortunately. Now, unfortunately, it's superwash, so I don't know about spit splicing this, if I can do that or not. I'm not too sure. But needless to say, I've got lots of yarn left over. But sorry, I went on and on and on about that. Didn't mean to go on and on and on about that, but I did. So this is my finished object. So there you go. I accomplished my goal. It did get blocked yesterday. And again, I just didn't podcast yesterday because, you know, St. Patty's Day got carried away. And I hope all of you had a good time. If you do take the opportunity to celebrate just for the heck of it, that is a great theme day to celebrate. My other St. Patty's Day knit was my socks, my variegated green socks. Look at those beauties. Look at how pretty they are. They're going to be too small. I know it. I am going to finish them. I did not get them finished in time for St. Patty's Day, but I absolutely love them. And again, I was just using a variety of minis. And I just was self-striping it all the way along. And thank you, Linda. Yes, Linda. Another Linda, one of my viewers, is the one who recommended Earth Tone Girls to me. And I took a look at all Earth Tone Girls sock videos, and oh my goodness, it's amazing. I've said that before, and I'm actually taking a course on VKL Live this coming weekend with Denise from Earth Tones Girl, and she's going to go over her gusset and heel flap technique, because apparently she has a very easy way of doing it where you don't have to switch back and forth and reposition all your stitches, and because a heel flap and gusset gets kind of messy sometimes. Again, it was my only second time doing it, and I kind of lost my way a couple times, and I thought, oh, well, that'll be a good course to take. So I am doing Vogue Knitting Live. I've got 2 courses that I'm taking, but that's one of the ones that I'm taking is a 2-part sock knitting course on heel flap and gusset sock work. So I'm very excited about that. But these, I'm going to finish them, but I think they're going to go to charity, because honestly, you know what I did? I didn't use a pattern. I was just using my vanilla sock, which is 64 stitches, knitting around. I was doing a gusset and heel flap heel, which I normally don't do. I normally do a afterthought, but in this particular case, I thought it's good to learn a new skill. But what I did with this pattern is I just, in order to create a little bit of interest in the actual sock, I just knit 2, slipped 1, knit 2, slipped 1, knit 2, slipped 1, which gave me sort of this ribbing effect. As I said in my last podcast, I didn't appreciate that would actually tighten up the whole sock, because when you're slipping that stitch, you're not knitting it. So there's no fabric being woven in there. You're basically taking the 2 stitches on either side of it and knitting those together so they come together, and your slip stitch is sitting on top. Well, that takes a lot of stretch out of your sock. So they're just not going to be comfortable. So I'm going to gift those. So charity knitting. Hey, there you go. A win-win. So that is kind of the knitting that I wanted to talk about in this particular episode. So let's talk about the winners. The winners of, we had a little bit of just for the fun of knit event where I asked for comments on who your favorite yarn dyer was and what you were knitting with it. And thank you so much. This is the part about the community that I love, and about your comments that I love so much. I must have about 40 different dyers. Some were double mentions, but I have about 40 different dyers now to explore, thanks to your input, because I've written it all down. I've got everybody's name, everybody's project, and everybody's favorite dyer that you submitted. And it's also given me a lot of great ideas on some projects to knit. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So the two prizes were, because I am trying to get more familiar with Canadian dyers, so Altered Skeins out of, I don't know where they're from. I'm having a brain burp. I should have known this from last time. But Altered Skeins, I wanted to say Williams Lake, but I don't think they were Williams Lake. It doesn't tell me where they're from. But Altered Skeins is a Canadian dyer, and this is their Foxtrot base, which is an 80-20 sock yarn in the Merlot, and that is very true to color. It is very true to color. It is just a medium purpley mauve, which absolutely is lovely. That is one of the prizes I'm going to be giving away, and the other prize is fingering weight sock set from Rose Hill Yarns, and they're out of Alberta, I do believe, and this is the My Sugar Boo colorway, and look at that. That is so happy. The teal and the fuchsia and the speckles. Oh, this is lovely. So those are the two skeins. So we're going to draw for this one first. And I actually had, how many entries did I have? I had 51 entries. If your name was in twice or you did double comments, because some people came back and commented on their yarn, I only counted you once. So I have 51 entries, and we are going to use the Google random number generator. So for the Altered Skein yarns, are you ready? We had 51. We had, did I just say 51? I think I just said 51. I have no memory. 51. We had 51. Okay, so we had 51 entries. Generate number 20. Number 20. Oh, this is exciting. So who's number 20? Number 20 is Talitha Ritter. Yay! So you are the winner of the Altered Skeins yarn. If you don't mind either direct messaging me on Instagram, Nena Knits, or just responding, you can also go onto Ravelry under Nena Knits and send me a message, because I will need your mailing details. So wonderful. That was for the Altered Skeins. Now we're going to do the Rose Hill sock yarn. And again, so this is where we left off. We chose number 20. So we're going to do this again. Oh, I guess we just hit generate again and see who the second one is. Does it do it again? Number 24. Okay, number 24 is Nancy McMahon. McMahon? McMahon? I hope I said that right. Sounds Irish. MC. McMahon. So Nancy, your favorite dyer was the blue brick, and you knit the ranunculus. So Nancy, if you're watching this, please send me a direct message through Instagram under Nena Knits, or on Ravelry under Nena Knits. Direct message me and with your contact details, and I will forward this along. So very, very happy to be sharing some of the yarny goodness with you. Yay! Okay, just a few other things. Let's talk a little bit about what's coming up in terms of knitting. Okay, so if you've seen my previous episodes, and I do need my glasses for this, I'm sorry, and I need a sip of very cold coffee. Apologies, folks. Okay, when I started the year, I had 19 whips. So I started in January with 19 whips. I am down to 11 whips. So part of my goal was to finish what I start, which I am so far doing a very good job of. But I still have 5 shawls that are whips. I have 4 sweaters that are whips, and I have 2 socks that are whips. So I have the Brioche Luscious by Andrea Mowry, the Stillness Shawl by Helen Stewart, the Stay Shawl by Tanis Gray, Cowl, pardon me, the Slipstravaganza wrap by Stephen West, and the Harry Potter by also Tanis Gray. I found my Harry Potter. I found it. Tragically, however, I've only got this much done of it. In terms of sweaters, I have the Breathing Space, can't remember the designer offhand. I have Patrick's sweater, which is a long-going saga. I have the Astreas by Bad Wolf Girl Knits, Megan, and I have the Zweig by Caitlin Hunter that I'm working on. So those are the 4 sweaters, and then I've got 2 pairs of socks that I'm working on, which is just a vanilla, but the Hermione sweater socks in Dragon Horde yarn, and I'm trying to make some Celebu socks. Now, the Celebu socks, which I have not shown, I'm going to probably rip out because I did not do Patricia from Knitography. I did not do her recommended swatch. And I think you definitely, for Celebu socks and Celebu mittens, you need to do a swatch, because again, my color work on the Celebu, normally when I'm doing sweater color work as a sweater, nice and loose, not a problem. The socks, oh my goodness, complete tension overload. So I think I'm gonna have to frog those and start over. But now that I'm only down to 11, guess what? I get to have a bit of a cast on party. I don't know what I'm gonna cast on yet, so stay tuned. It's gonna come in the next episode, what I'm gonna cast on if I haven't already. But oh my goodness, do I have the urge to cast on some new, because hey, 11 whips for me is, you know, I'm running low. I'm running on empty. So I got to make sure I add to the pile, finish what I start. And I am working through all these whips. So I will this year finish all of these, finish what I start, but I'm always going to have more whips. So looking forward to that. And one of the whips I know I'm going to be using, newly acquired Lichen and Lace, which is Canadian 100% wool yarn. This is their Heather Sport Weight, and look at these. This is pretty true to color again. It's sort of a medium dove gray and a cream, and I also have a skein of black, and so I'm hoping for just some sort of a yoke sweater that has just a little bit of a leafy detail. I haven't figured out, I don't know if it's going to be a Jennifer Steingass or I'm not too sure yet, but looking forward to that. I want to knit with more rustic woolly wools. So I have a ton of superwash, which I will get through, but I'm kind of leaning a little bit more to the aesthetic of the woolly wools. And while I'm still trying to figure out what colors I like, I do know that I like neutrals. So hey, that's kind of an easy go. But some of the dream knitting that I want to incorporate, and I still haven't figured out my Make 9 yet, so none of this is Make 9. So who knows what's going to be my Make 9. But helping me, I got 2 new acquisitions. Sorry, I'm just going to digress. I subscribed to Pom Pom. And I have to say, this Pom Pom magazine, there are 3 sweaters in here alone that I want to knit. So this one was well worth the purchase. Love it. And I'll talk about that. And I think I might have mentioned this already, but I finally got my copy of Operation Sock Drawer. Oh, love all the socks. I think I did mention this before, because 52 weeks of socks was not what I expected it to be. But this is lovely. This is lovely. So on that note, and I'll put pictures somewhere, maybe I'll scoot over here because I'm going to start putting some pictures up here. So from this Pom Pom magazine, I am going to, my sister and I both want to knit the Lisse. And the Lisse is a beautiful, as you can see here, a beautiful jacket. But why I want to knit it is because it's in a very unique construction. It's done in squares, and the squares are done in double knitting. I have never done double knitting. So guess what the second course at Vogue Knitting Live is this weekend? Double knitting. So not only am I taking a course for socks, but I'm taking a course for double knitting. So I'm so excited about this. And I love the colors in this sweater, and well, I might not do mine in the pinks. I'm not sure. I want to make sure it's a very usable garment because it looks really warm and cozy, and I just cannot wait to actually explore that. And who is the designer? Amelia Sieber. I don't know if that is from Kindred Red. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, but totally looking forward to knitting that. The second dream knitting piece is also from this magazine, and it is Lucky Pieces. and that is by Inyoung Kim. And what's fun about this is because learning is one of my, well, not only is it a core value, but it's definitely something that I put in my 2021, resolutions or goals, is one continuous learning. And this particular Lucky Pieces is done in using entrelac. And entrelac is just a way of knitting in different directions without having to sew things together. Ah! So fabulous. I'm looking forward to that. The third thing, and I know we're casting this on pretty soon, my sister's just trying to get the yarn for it, is the Stephen West painted honeycomb jacket. Now, if you see the picture, that is a little bit too out there for me. I'm not, like, I definitely want to do the honeycomb sleeves in beautiful pops of color. But as far as the jacket, I'm probably going to stay a little bit more neutral in the overall jacket, but can't wait to start knitting that. So those are 3 dream knitting projects that I'm so looking forward to. Sorry for the interruption. So I was saying Stephen West's painted honeycomb jacket. And now in terms of other acquisitions, I don't think I have any more acquisitions. Nope, no more acquisitions. And I showed you my books. So that is pretty much, we're going to wrap up a little bit for today. But before I go, let's have a little bit more fun with our knitting. So more comments. And I would love to send somebody in time for Easter, hopefully, this beautiful skein of Ancient Arts Socknado yarn in the Lavender Fields. What is it called? Where's my glasses? It's the Lavender Fields Forever in the Socknado. And look at the purples and a little bit of green and a little bit of honey or pecan. Oh, and it's got speckles of fuchsia in it. This is a beautiful skein of yarn from Ancient Arts Yarn, which is dyed in Canada, yes, but the yarn actually comes from Italy. So if you are interested in winning a skein of that, please, I will happily send it to you. Just make a comment below. What will our comment be about? Let's have some fun with this. Easter is coming, so maybe if you share egg recipes. What is your favorite way to eat eggs, or your favorite egg recipe? Hey, eggs are Easter, and it can be chocolate eggs. I'm just saying, because chocolate is a food group. I think it's a food group. Anyway, folks, I wanted to keep it a little bit short today. Hope that you enjoyed that. Congratulations to the winners. Don't forget to instant message me. If you like this video, please give it a like, a thumbs up, and please feel free to subscribe. We are on our way to 1,000 subscribers, and that is so exciting. I never expected that. So it's just kind of now a thing. It's kind of growing, morphing all on its own. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, but what I value most is your comments. I think just connecting with you in some little way through those comments, it just, makes me feel like there's, a community out there and a group of friends and kindred spirits, which honestly, a lot of you are. I mean, we're sharing the same experiences. We have the same sort of, paths in life or interests and, funny stories to share. So, and of course, we all share a love of fiber and knitting. So, and or crocheting for some of you. So please leave your comments, like the video, subscribe. Thank you so much for taking the time and spending it with me on the day after St. Paddy's Day. Take care, everyone, and I'll talk to you very soon.